Tell me, you agree or disagree with this? I feel like this series is going to be a lot more, for the vast majority of it, when we look back on it, the series will look a lot more like both second halves of games 1 and 2, as opposed to the first half of those games 1 and 2, where it was one team just blowing the other team out of the water, more or less, especially with the way the Hawks came out with 42 first quarter points in game 1. I think the second halves of those games is more the norm than the first.
Yeah, I agree completely, which is often the case in the playoffs. It's hard to blow out a team unless you're playing the Bucks, apparently. I'm not sure what's going on in that series. But, the Hawks especially have a lot of firepower. So there's, a team that if they could get down quickly like they did, I think it was 20-4 at the beginning of game 2. And then, by the end of the first quarter, it was almost a tie game because they just have guys that can score that quickly. And I think the Sixers obviously are not going to come out as poorly ever as they did in that first half of game 1. So I think it's going to be a pretty evenly matched series moving forward. And like I said, I think Joel is just really going to be the guy there that makes the difference.
All right, so I want to run through a couple of things with you more generally speaking. One has to do with Joel Embiid and the MVP award. Was Joel Embiid robbed by Joker, Michael K-B?
It's tough because he was the best player to me all season, and we all know the determining factor in that was games played. Jokic didn't miss a game, which really is on one end of the spectrum, and Joel was missed. I believe it was 21, which he was barely over the threshold to even qualify for award consideration and statistical consideration. So to me, I do understand where the vote, like where that disparity came from. If I had a vote, I probably would have gone to Jokic because of that difference. I know, and it's tough, man. Being a Philly guy, I love Joel, love watching him play. But when you miss almost a third of the season and you're going up against the guy that played every game, and the other comparables other than defense, obviously Joel has the major advantage. But statistically, they were both pretty close. I think it was a fair vote, as much as I would have liked to see Joel get it.
Yeah, my personal thing on that was if he's good enough to qualify, if he played enough to qualify, then he qualified. If he's the best, he should get it. That's where I'm at with that. And yes, I'm a big fat homer. After that, Ben Simmons, Defensive Player of the Year, robbed or not robbed?
That, I think, is a rob. I think the fact the game is so much more perimeter-oriented today than it has been in the past. So to pick a rim protector that's, can be exposed by a guard on the perimeter, as opposed to Ben, who's really can guard positions 1 through 5 at any time. All right, I gotta grab the dog.
All right, yeah, let's see. Yeah. I know, Michael, you're playing defense when it comes to the dogs that apparently are just waking up from a nap. But I know the people would want to see oh, my goodness. Look at that face! Look at that pup. That's a good looking puppy right there.
Yeah, he's not letting me get any work done. Apparently, there you go.
What's his name?
Kemba. Believe it or not.
Is that after Kemba Walker?
So I say it's not after him specifically, but I'd be lying if he wasn't like the reason that the name was in my head. Like I didn't name him because I love Kemba Walker that much, but I thought the name Kemba was pretty cool because obviously I knew of Kemba Walker. So I give him like half credit.
See, that's good. See, I was named. My dad likes to tell me I was not named after Marc Ivoroni of the Sixers championship team, but the name Mark, especially Mark with a C, was in his head because of Marc Ivoroni. So I get the inspiration. Same deal. Same deal. Now, okay, so Ben was robbed. That's cool. Last thing on just as far as Ben Simmons goes, some general stuff. I acknowledge that Ben Simmons is well worthy of being an all-star. My audience has heard me say this a million times. Well worthy of his 3-time all-star appearances, well worthy of Defensive Player of the Year, prowess being in that conversation. But I really do feel, Michael KB, I really do feel that Ben Simmons is a consistent foul shooter and a consistent jump shooter away from being an MVP, legit top 3 candidate in the NBA. Agree or disagree?
I don't know about being an MVP candidate because I think you're seeing right now Giannis, who's still not a consistent shooter or a consistent free throw shooter, who has 2 MVPs to his name.
Okay.
But with that said, I mean, especially the free throws. I mean, that's the main thing. Everyone, the shooting conversation's been done, over and over again, and it's the consensus. Obviously, if he wants to be the best player he could be to take the Sixers to the next level, like, yes, he needs to develop a jump shot. He can still be extremely effective, obviously, without one. But to me, it's the foul shooting because I think so much of that stems from him being aggressive when he's at his best, is when he puts his head down and gets to the rim. And I think at times when he's not hitting his free throws, like we're kind of seeing in these playoffs right now, he's not being as aggressive because he doesn't necessarily want to get fouled and go to the line. So I think if he can get that up to even just like 70%, which is not asking too much, I think he's been around like the low 60s throughout his career. If he could just get that up to 70%, I think that would open things up for him tremendously on the offensive end. We've already seen him be a little bit more willing to take, I don't want to say jump shots, but like post fadeaways or hook shots or things that are, we didn't necessarily see a lot from him his first couple of years in the league. So I think there is some small development, I guess, in that area. But to me, it's all about the free throw shooting. I think once he gets confidence there, A, he'll be more aggressive, and B, I feel like if you're a good free throw shooter, when you're in that area on the court, it's a mental thing, and he'll be more willing to shoot in the flow of a game, and then, maybe things will stem from there.